Okay, everybody, welcome to another episode of On the Roast from Off the Cuff. Today we have a real awesome review for you from the brand Nodus. A little bit about them. They were founded back in 2016 out of Long Beach, California, which is out in LA County, within the good old US of A. Now, Nodus is actually Latin for node, and it's really the intersection of two paths. And here, they really focus on kind of where quality meets affordability, where heritage meets modernity, and design meets functionality. Now, the guys over at Nodus are awesome. I've met 2 out of 3. So the original founders are great, and I've actually interviewed them on the channel, and then they actually even added on another piece to the puzzle, which is great for them. So they're definitely growing. They're a modern micro brand startup offering high quality, high value wristwatches, and I think they've really established a name for themselves from, dating all the way back to the first Trieste I purchased and reviewed from them back in the day. Now, this is the Sector Field Vapor. They've actually restocked with new colorways, so I'm pretty jealous that I'm still reviewing an older pass-around model from the original run. That's a no date. They actually don't even offer this dial option anymore, but I guess the good news is now that this finally made its way to me from all of the other kind of reviewers and whatnot, as this was getting passed around. I guess it's good timing that they've released, awesome new colorways that look absolutely outstanding. So if this piques your interest, definitely see what those newer models are. But a little bit about this: assembled and regulated in US of A, and these go for $425 direct. So let's go ahead, zoom the camera out, get this piece in hand, and take a closer look. All right, guys, so loving this piece. The Sector line is one that I've always been a fan of, but this kind of adventure watch space is definitely very busy and very competitive. Adventure watch / field watch, and I think this piece here was really surprising. Again, guys, don't mind kind of the scuffs and whatnot on here. Again, this is just kind of a pass around loaner from that earlier batch that finally made its way over to me here in the middle of a pandemic. So, well, hopefully not the middle. Hopefully it's the end of it, the tail end anyway. But the dims on here, you get 38 millimeters in diameter, 12.75 millimeters thick, and then 47 millimeters lug to lug. This is 316L stainless steel. It's all matte blasted with some nice finely polished bevels on there. And one thing you'll also notice that is really tricky when it comes to photographing this piece is it's actually a high polished step on this on the bezel here. Although it's a fixed bezel, it does have that step to it, and it's highly polished. And a lot of times you'll see pictures of it and it'll look like this. It'll be like, oh, it's black. It's black because it's reflecting off of the camera lens, but it's not in real life. It's actually reflective, and it actually gives it much brighter, bolder tone. And it was always weird to me the way that it looked in photographs, because it always looked like it had like some type of black ceramic ring around it. It's not. It's actually just high polished. So I would say that in person, as much as I want this video to be indicative of what you're going to see, I will say that that's one thing that isn't conveyed very easily through any type of medium, apart from just getting it in your hand and on your wrist. Now, the crystal is a beautiful sapphire crystal with that nice bevel to it. Very, very handsome. You do have the inner AR coating. We do have a nice crown here, as you can see, screw in and signed, and just exactly everything you need, nothing that you don't. Inside, you got the NH35. It's regulated in 4 positions, 2 plus or minus 10 seconds a day. As far as the dial goes, you do have that nice kind of stepped Sector style, not derivative. Definitely looks and feels like its own thing, especially when there's so many brands that are keying into kind of that vintage look. It's nice to see a more modern take here. The hands are painted. The Superluminova on here is BGW9 Lume. The water resistance is 150 meters or 500 feet. The lugs are drilled very nicely and are 20 millimeters. So this thing is an absolute strap monster. And Nodus recently released quite a few really cool strap options. So again, they're just on top of their game right now, guys. We do have full solid links and end links, which is pretty much what you're going to see on the new models here. Of course, it's going to be, you know, you're going to receive something more flawless and whatnot. But here you see the tie-in with the matte blast, and then the nice high polish, which also ties into the high polish bevels here as well. Let me give it a quick wipe. So as you can see, really nice. Of course, there is some wear and tear on here, but you know, don't be, you know, it's not like you're gonna buy it like this. Really nice clasp, actually pretty reminiscent of the clasp that Hamilton uses. And if you're gonna have something to kind of be a baseline, I think that's a pretty good one. You also get these micro adjusts as well, which is really nice. Everything is all solid, as you can see, and you do have screw in links, so that is typically what people prefer, so I think it works. A nice thing I will mention about the matte blasted finish on here is it's a finer matte blast, so it's not going to be super porous like you're going to find on other matte blasted finishes when you're talking about some other watches or whatnot. So this was pretty well thought out, and honestly it plays pretty well. You can see, you know, the oil from my fingers isn't like discoloring it greatly or anything like that, and it's not like very grabby for lint or anything, which is also a nice touch and well executed from that standpoint. So with that said, let's actually just get this thing on wrist and see how it wears. All right, guys, as you can see on my 7 1/4 inch wrist, this thing wears really great. I will say that, yes, it wears like a 38, but it wears, actually, I'd say it's something, it just pops. It has a boldness to it that doesn't make it feel small. I've worn some 38s that really felt way undersized. I've never really worn a 38 that felt oversized, but I've definitely, for me, that's kind of the sweet spot, 38, 38 and a half, 39. But I have had some 38s that just wore too small, and I think part of it is the shape of the lugs. And you can see here these straight lines, although the lug to lug isn't hugely long at 47 millimeters, these straight lines and these bevels help carry the visual weight out. And it just, I think it helps it balance it, versus some lugs you'll see that will really taper in towards the bracelet. Here you get those kind of nice broad angular shoulders, which for me anyway really offer some nice just wrist presence, and just overall the design just feels tougher and more rugged. So I do dig that. It doesn't feel like this kind of petite thing you have to worry about. It feels ready to go, which I like, especially in this type of watch, right? It's got enough water resistance for you to take it into the water, but it's also got, you know, that look where you could also take it to the top of a mountain as well. So this thing is, although it's field oriented, again, it just has that kind of everyday modern adventure vibe, which I'm really digging right now. And it wears really well, guys. Look at that. As you can see, these angles, they flow well. I dig the way they did the H-Link bracelet, and the way that everything lines and butts up and fits together for the overall package. So again, a little jealous that I couldn't get a hold of one of the newer dial combinations to show you guys, but hey, I guess that's victim of their own success. They're doing really good, and probably have a lot of loaners out to a lot of different reviewers, and you know, my channel isn't the hugest out there, so this is what I get to show you guys. So yeah, no, this thing's awesome though. Really digging it. Honestly, I've been kind of drooling over their blue variation that's been kind of teased at up to, and then now since released for this option here. So very, very cool. But let's go ahead, you know, get this thing set up for some lume, low light transition, and closing thoughts. All right, guys, we'll go ahead and hit the lights here. As you can see, the lume is outstanding, and yes, guys, it's a field watch, so it doesn't have to have crazy lume. And I guess you wouldn't call it crazy. I mean, it's just actually just really well applied and really well done. Definitely not underdone. but I wouldn't say, hey, it's necessarily a selling point. I think the selling point for every Nodus watch is how balanced it is. And I think they have a really great eye over at Team Nodus for what the enthusiast wants. I mean, typically I feel like those guys are kind of shopping for the same watches I shop for, from kind of talking shop with them. But here we get some low light transition to kind of look at how this is going to look like in transitional lighting, as well as just, you know, not ideal lighting. So whether you're coming in and out of a building or walking underneath an overhang or just spending some time in your favorite vehicle, guys, you know, you're not always going to be out in the middle of a field. So as you can see, the color on this dial, really gorgeous, and this vapor dial option, and then the way that the light, even when I put on kind of the more harsher high contrast lighting here, I mean, yeah, you can see some wear and tear, but generally the finishing is quite uniform and nice, which is great. So go ahead and hit the lights back. All right, guys, on the wrist, you get really nice proportions, very comfortable and balanced wear. You know, it's small, but it has that kind of hefty, solid feel, which I definitely dig and can appreciate. Now, as far as model variants go, guys, in this latest run, you got the shale black, marina blue, sequoia green, or smoke gray. Smoke gray is going to be closest to what you're going to see here, but it has more of kind of a gradation, and I'd say that's probably a theme a bit, you know, across the line. And I think it's a really nice touch, and it's definitely on trend. For me personally, I really would love to get my hands on that marina blue dial. It just looks absolutely sick. I love that it has so many different tones and shades of blue, which makes it, for me, infinitely versatile, which is really, really cool. So that's the kind of my pick, but let me know what your guys' pick is in the comments below. As far as comparable models go, guys, you know, something about having a Nodus watch in front of you kind of makes you forget about what else is out there, honestly. And while there are a lot of similar field watches, you know, kind of within the space, even at the price point, most of them are really drawing from vintage inspirations. So the Sector Field does something really different that feels distinctively modern. Although Sector dials are kind of old school, this is such a really interesting and fun take on it. Even the way that they did the numerals, you know, with the 12-hour scale, and then also having the 24-hour scale, the play of, you know, the chapter ring color play, and just there's so many little points of contrast on here. I think if they didn't call it the Sector, they could have called it the Contrast, because it has so many great contrasts, whether it's within the finish, within the dial, within the color play, just really a lot of nice things that kind of come together to create this awesome Sector dial watch, the Sector Field, if you will. So for me, guys, bottom line, the team at Nodus continue to impress, and their latest batch really improve upon this existing excellent formula. Also, they have dates, so it's going to be a circular cutout in between the 4 and the 5, which I think is great. It will help sell watches, of course, because typically if you look at all the metrics around watches, people want a date on their watch. Although within the enthusiast niche, I'd say there's a lot of people that also enjoy a no date, just because they feel special because there's less of them. And so you do get a little bit more balance on the dial in that case, but I think they executed it well. So check the links in the description, because I'll leave a direct link there so you guys can see their latest line. Hopefully they aren't all sold out by the time you guys see this. That's just how quick they move, and that's kind of the nature of the beast for, you know, some of the top tier micro brands today. And yes, I do consider Nodus one of those top tier micro brands. So with that said, let me know what you guys think in the comments below. If you like the video, please do hit like, and if you haven't already, please subscribe for more content just like this. Thanks, guys.